Hello, everyone. It's January 5th, 2023. It's our first meeting of the year for Ingress NGINX. This is a CNCF provided project, supported projects. That means we are subjected to the code of conduct, which essentially means be kind to each other. If you have any issues, please report those to me or Ricardo, any of the other maintainers, or SIG-Networking leads. So today, do we have anybody new who wants to introduce themselves?
Hi there. I'm new. I'm Phil, and yeah, not contributed anything to this project yet before.
Hello, Phil. Thanks for joining.
No problem.
I'll go next. Hi, I'm Subodh Thomas Matthew. I'm also new to the project and I haven't done any contributions yet and looking forward to use my skills. So I'm mainly a DevOps engineer with an overall experience of 13 years. So looking forward to contribute to the project using my skills and learn something on the Golang side. So yeah, that's it. Thank
Awesome. Thanks for joining, and we look forward to helping out the help. I guess we could run through the issue triage. I'll just blame everything on Dylan and NGINX, and we'll go from there.
I'm
kidding.
It's all my fault. I'll take the blame.
Dylan, are you married? That was a perfect answer. No. Ricardo said he's running late, so he'll be here soon. So let's go ahead and well, we can walk through the issue triage because I know Phil, you're here to talk about the IP denial list, right?
Yeah, if there's time.
Yeah, we've got open topics, and doing issue triage is usually helpful with Ricardo being here. So we can talk about that. We can skip to the open topics, make sure we get back to it. Sorry, I'm just looking at the time. But yeah, let's go ahead and let's work through that then. What are you coming in to discuss getting it moving forward, or what's your relation? Because you're Phil Nickel? Okay.
Yeah, that's me. Yeah.
I'm awake.
Yeah, that's me. So basically, it's something that our security people were hoping to be able to do here. So I thought I'd have a crack at it. As you can probably tell, it's pretty much lift and shift of the whitelist code, and then change the word to deny, and that's basically it. I wasn't sure since the first contribution, I wasn't sure if you'd want it to be sort of separate as a separate annotation like the rest of them are, or if you'd want to share the logic and sort of reduce the duplication. And yeah, all it does is, so yeah, it'll set those deny rules above the allow ones. And from what I understand, that's the desired behavior, because yeah, if you set anything to allow, it ends with a deny all, doesn't it? So set a few denies above it and should be all good. Basically, yeah, they just wanted to be able to block individual IP addresses on a whim, nice and quick, through their ingresses.
Okay. Yeah, that seems pretty straightforward. I didn't know we didn't have a deny list before.
We did. Hey, I'm back.
Hey,
there was another open PR for that, I guess, and Jintao marked that, but that PR is abandoned. So if we can just get whatever review we got in that one and bring to this one, and I can take a look on that probably this weekend. But I guess it's from what I've heard, it's pretty straightforward. It's just like another annotation, and they follow an order, and you add the block list before the allow list. So I think it's fine.
Oh, okay, so this is
I'm sorry, I just didn't have enough time to review, but I think that Jintao is over that, right? So it's fine.
Yeah, that's what he was talking about in Ingress Dev.
Yeah, he mentioned there's another one that's open, and yeah, if that's the way, if you would all prefer to look at that one, then instead, it's no worries. Happy either way.
This one apparently it's like Jintao posted that this person it's not answering anymore. So my only
Yeah.
request is like try to get all of them together. I guess I left already. I
course.
reviewed that. So just make sure that it's not duplicated effort. Then we can close
Yeah.
that other one and focus on yours. That's okay.
Yeah, I think so. I think I came across this this PR after I had raised my one, and I had a little look through and tried to address sort of some of the stuff and picked up some of the sort of testing that you had asked for. So hopefully some of it's addressed. But yeah, just let me know. Happy to obviously
sounds
change whatever you like.
Okay.
All right. Cool. Well, that's good to know. And then yeah, we can close out the other one too. So you said Gentile was you're gonna look at it this weekend, Ricardo, and then Gentile's he's looking at it as well.
Yeah, Gentile is looking, but I can I can try to take a look this weekend. I want to finish some other stuff before, but I think it's not a huge impact on that. Usually, I'm just afraid of those PRs because they have a direct security impacts, right? So if we do something wrong, we may allow someone to do something they shouldn't be allowed, and so on. So I would just be a little bit more careful with that. But other than that, I think it's fine. I would try to focus on fine doing that.
Yeah,
Can
there's
we,
no.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry.
just thinking, can we add maybe one or two more end-to-end tests? Because this is only having the deny list. Can we add one, and I can put the comment in there, of somebody having a deny and an allow list and just formulating and making sure that it does that properly?
Absolutely.
Okay, awesome.
And I wanted to say as well, it's my first contribution. It's like 1,000 lines, so yeah, be as like strict and sort of comprehensive as you like. You know, it's a pretty risky one, I guess.
It's okay. I will give.
It's more
yeah,
just we usually only have like one or two tests. Like it tests the new functionality, but it doesn't test maybe like a regression, because this does have interactions with the allow list. So we want to just test that scenario because someone made a change recently that broke stuff that we didn't know about. So I'm going to start just suggesting we have a little bit more robust end-to-end tests.
Yeah. Call your security folks, ask them how they would break this, and add they thinking about breaking that to the end-to-end test. I think it's the best way of doing that. Think how someone would bypass that.
Okay, I'll do that. Thank you.
And I'll review a really fast one. The copyright here is wrong on all of the files, so just because I'm gonna add those anyway. Yeah.
Oh yeah, as a copy paste.
Because otherwise I would ask you to change everything on the review. So I'm just letting you know right now.
Yeah,
saving us time.
Yeah. I'm guessing from when I copied it from when I raised it, and it's changed since, hasn't it?
Gotcha. Yeah, I do that a lot. No worries.
Yeah, no worries.
Are there any checks for really deep dive inspection of specifics, like James was saying, like if somebody by mistake includes an IP address from allow into the deny, from deny list into the allow, and so on. So are the log messages going to catch that and explain that? Things like that, like very corner cases. This is just more deep dive into what James was saying.
At a glance, I presume it will just show the sort of that same, like request was denied due to a due to a rule. It won't say if it's allow or deny. So, but that's an assumption that I can check.
Okay.
Awesome. This would also probably, this could potentially be a breaking change. So do we want to wait into the discussion with the 1.6 stuff as well? Once we get through all of these things.
How would this be a breaking change? Just
I mean, yeah, it's going to be it's going to be disabled by default since it's an annotation. Okay, I just want to make sure we're being a little bit more robust with the change notes and.
No. I'm asking because I couldn't see this been a breaking change, so maybe I was just missing something. But because this is just an annotation, and it's gonna block if you add that, so it's not gonna change a behavior, right? You are
That's
still
fair.
being allowed unless you, yeah. But it's not like I'm still slow, so that's why I'm asking.
I'm just making sure we ask the question too.
Yeah.
Just walk through the thought process and making sure it's not going to break anything.
Mhm.
Awesome. Thanks for that. And if you have any questions, just ask in the Slack channel as you work through this, or in GitHub.
That's great. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Awesome. I stopped sharing. Wrong button. Sorry, guys. I don't want to share my whole desktop. Okay, before we go to the other two, we can flip back to issue triaging because I was waiting for you to be on, Ricardo.
Go for it.
Awesome. I also want to test while we're here. These issues should also be on the project board. I just want to see what that looks like. Because the latest one is 9479. I've got it to where it adds these, but it doesn't put them in any particular order. It looks like it probably just puts it at the bottom. 9479. 9479. Yeah, okay. I've also copied over the tickets from the stabilization project as well, and those are mostly the ones that are in progress, but the ones that have no status, those get automatically added as issues. Notice that some people did get assigned themselves to it, so I've just got to pull those over as in progress, so we can just get an idea of like the capacity of what we're working on, what we're trying to accomplish versus the open issues. So I guess we can wondering, because we have no status or any other filtering here, except for needing triage. So it's the same kind of idea, just working backwards. Anyway, just trying to get better at integrating the project board, and let's go ahead and dive in. Is there any issues that anyone knows that we should look into before we start just going into the generic ones?
If we can look at the issues already tagged as a bug, I think it will help, because some of them seem to be relevant to current users' use cases.
Okay. And this should be sorted by time. Yeah, newest. All right. I'm going to leave this to I can't remember the gentleman's name who's already assigned himself to it.
Yeah, this is already on OpenTelemetry. I've raised a PR for it. I'm waiting for review.
Okay. So there's already a PR for this one. So okay.
Yeah, it's on OpenTelemetry.
Cool. I will remove the triage then, since you've already got this taken care of. Thanks for that. I've been seeing a lot of questions around multiple ingresses lately, and just multiple and the namespaces and everything. I'm wondering if that's just it's not really well documented, but there's been a lot of questions in Slack lately, so I just reminded from this one that we're gonna dive into. Where's my chat? Just drop
Yeah,
this.
there is two flavors of that. There is one type of use case where people just are happy if they can find a solution to use multiple instances. They can install multiple instances, and the rare ones like this one, and there's I think one more that's open, I don't know the number, where they're saying they have to use namespace scoped. So it's not even, they're not even the requirement is not just multiple instances of the controller in one cluster. They actually want to hard scope the installation of the controller to a namespace. So regarding
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was just saying this was a topic that was active 8 months ago, and we actually went over to having the solution for having multiple instances of the controller, regardless of the namespace, because of the election ID and all that. But now I think it's not an urgency, but there is two of these cases where they're asking for namespace scoping and just using different values to have multiple instances in one cluster is not enough for them.
Yeah, I think most of the time it's around the cluster role. Do we have that documented on how to fix that? Do you know, Long?
It's not documented in as in the docs website, but some people have referred to it. Those who have asked for it, they just come down and done the tweaking in their own manifest for the cluster rule. But I think my thought is around this fact that they're saying the Ingress class should watch only in a namespace, because they have some weird CI/CD GitOps process. So I think either in this one or in another one, I think I made a comment that we have this process where you can have multiple instances even in the same namespace, but just election ID and class name and watch by class. But I think I don't recall too many details, but what I clearly remember is that they are very particular about scoping, limiting the scope to a namespace.
Yeah, I think the problem here is we're not. I think people are conflating in this one, they're conflating the configuration options for the annotations to be able to be used to configure the Helm chart, which.
Sorry, actually, let's get specific. Sorry, I just recalled that information. So if you open up the code and open the values file, go to the charts, go to the code and go to the charts directory and go to the values file. Ricardo needs to comment on this. There's actually a parameter in the values file. Search for, go to values file and search for namespace. I think either in this ticket or another ticket, they're referring to this specific value, saying it's commented out or something like that, and saying it's not working. I could be wrong, but if I recall right, back in the days before V1, I think this was a feature that was working. Like people could install and watch only a namespace. Ricardo, recall any of them?
Yeah, the problem is because of Ingress class, because Ingress class it's not a namespace object.
Yeah.
So you need to deploy at least a cluster role saying that your Ingress controller can can watch Ingress class. And I was discussing that with Rob, and it was like, I guess 5 months ago, but there is no plan to get in like the Ingress class as a namespaced object. So what we should do is, again, come back to that, all of that Ingress class mess, and have a way of allowing people to not use Ingress class at all, right? I guess we had already, didn't we, Long? Like if someone passes like the controller saying, watch Ingress without class, it should.
I think he's missing an option. He's not setting the namespace in the controller scope. So he's enabling the scope, but he's not setting the namespace. So he's enabling it, but he doesn't set the namespace in here
But it defaults to the pod namespace inside that.
for the controller, right?
Yeah,
But he needs to set that to the where he's deploying the namespace he's deploying resources to, right?
isn't on the same namespace.
It
Is
doesn't
not
have to
trying to run.
be.
No, but I mean this specifically this issue.
So Ricardo,
Because-
correct me if I'm wrong. Because of the class, regardless of whether they specify this, they use this flag and the spec, as long as the class matches, the controller will honor the ingress, even if it's a different namespace, right?
The controller will honor the ingress in different namespace. It will. Yeah, it should.
It will. That's my assumption, because so very specifically, it's my guess is the problem is this. There is this flag, and it kind of.
But wait, I think that in this specific issue, it's just because we are trying to install a role and a role binding giving Ingress class access, but the user trying to do that, the user running the Helm chart doesn't have that permission to give another user the permission by the error message. Can you go back? Yeah, James. So go to the error installation failed on the second box. Can you scroll to the second one? You are on the third one. Yeah. So this user that's installing doesn't have this Ingress class and Ingress class status permission. So this user cannot give the other user Ingress class and Ingress class status permission. So probably there is just an argument missing saying, hey, don't try to give Ingress class and Ingress class status permission, right? Because you as a user cannot give another user more permission than you have.
Right. So
And he's
short
setting-
term.
Yeah, so if you change
quick
that
question.
to false.
Ingress resource enabled
Yeah,
false.
maybe
So
there is something wrong on the Helm charts that should be
yeah,
fixed.
so it's still trying to deploy an Ingress class, even though it doesn't have the permissions to it. So when they disable it, we've also got to disable deploying an Ingress class.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Go back to the Helm charts. Can you scroll up a bit and go to the no on the files, James? Controller role on the files on the left.
Oh, on the files on the left, controller
Yeah,
role. Okay.
controller role. Yeah.
So we need an if statement in here.
Yeah. Ingress
Around.
class. Can you find it? Ingress class.
Yeah, it was right here.
Here you go. Yeah. We need to add something there on the status one.
If controller spec, yeah, that's what we need. Okay, that makes sense. Be just from link. It's not. Is that on main? Yeah, it's on main.
And the same for status. I have no idea where the subresearch status is, but we need to fix it.
Ricardo, quick question, converse question, right? If somebody asks very explicitly if that value spec about namespace scoping in the values file, is it supported and functioning now as of today?
I don't know.
No, right?
So, I don't know. To be honest, there's too much time since I don't install an Ingress controller on the namespace scope. So if you or someone can test that and say what's working or not, so maybe we should fix all of the Helm charts, because this is mostly, so we need to fix the Helm charts, and after fixing the Helm charts, we need to figure out if Ingress can run without Ingress class and without any cluster scoped permission, right?
Yeah.
So today I don't think there is a problem, but I have no idea.
Okay. So we're sure we don't know. Okay, that's very clear.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah, me too. I also think that it's not going to work, but there's no clear understanding. So yeah, we should make that clear to this person at least. Because I think multiple people asked about this. And the reason they're asking is they have a CI/CD process where they deploy application, controller, all that together, and they want to limit to a namespace.
Yeah, it does totally make sense, in my opinion. This case, like sometimes you wanna say that you have like a platform as a service and you deploy like the router for the people as well,
Right.
So
Right.
it
So
does
if
make
you
sense
read
for me.
this issue very clearly, he states what he does is they have a templated platform of a service kind of design for their CI/CD. They have a set group of, let's say, manifests that they use. So it means what it implies is that the Ingress class name is constant, and they need to do that in multiple namespaces. So that's where the problem comes from.
I would say, James, instead of we go into each of the issues on that, we know that we have a problem deploying controller as a namespace scoped, right? So maybe we should just raise like a major issue and maybe Long can take care of that, saying establishing all of the scenarios, trying to deploy in the namespace scoped, seeing what works, what doesn't work, mapping. So at least we may have a plan to fix that.
Right. That's
Yeah.
Sounds good?
Yeah, that sounds good. That's
Okay.
the right thing to do. Yeah.
Then we
Okay.
just associate all of those issues with them, and when we close one, we close all of them.
Right.
All right, I'll put that on here as an action item for you to create that and then map the English class issues.
Okay.
Yeah, you're watching me type. Awesome. Okay. Well, as we figured, getting through any number of these issues takes longer than 15 minutes, unfortunately. I wanted to discuss the 153 from the open issues. I know we've got the goal vulnerability checker. Is our gentleman who was working on that, is he here? Are they here? Can't remember. Don't see them. My only issue with this one is I don't see why we're deploying. I don't think we should be doing this, creating a second like scannable ingress. I say we just create the one with symbols, and the increase in size, I think is justified from being able to scan everything that's in there. Does anybody else think any different?
No, I agree with you. Probably
Okay.
this should just be a flag. So when you pass like the environment variable saying that this is the vulnerability scan, you had the symbols on the Go program as well.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to keep it. I just wanted it to be the same one so that, when folks get something that's already been scanned, it's not different. So we're not doing this is that same conversation we had earlier, Ricardo, about we rebuild the controller when we do a test release or when we do testing. That's not really testing the one that we're actually going to release because we know that things can change between building it and actually releasing it. But yeah, I'll comment that on here.
Yeah.
Sorry, Long, I cut you off.
No, that's right. We did talk about it, and the thought process you explained is right. We should not be talking about releasing something that's not been tested, or trying to test something that's not going to get released. But we have to see his perspective, because he raised a chicken and egg kind of question, because he can't do a test if there are no symbols, and we made him think that the size should be small. So we can tell him it's okay to have the size at whatever size it comes with the symbols, and then test only that one, and that way we release only that one.
Yeah, I'll make sure to comment that and follow up on that one. Alrighty, we're going to talk about 152 first, or the stabilization stuff. They're kind of similar since I'm working on the release automation. Do we want to talk about 152, or do we want to go through the stabilization work?
I think we can talk about 152 because I wanted to keep rolling this one as well.
Yeah, the release is important.
Yeah.
Yeah. So go ahead, Ricardo.
James. No, go ahead.
So we tried to get a release for 152 out because of a couple things, right? 152 had the Alpine upgrade to 317. It had also the Go 119.4 upgrade. So to get again, reducing vulnerabilities that are available in the scanners. And there was a couple changes in there that we didn't test all of the edge cases. That's the best way to put it. So that when we did the release using the automated stuff, which is nice because now the release is automated, but we still need to be more diligent about looking at what is actually getting released and making sure that we know that it's possibly breaking changes, or making sure that we've got all of the test coverage for the edge cases. Really, that's all it came down to, was if we had notified that it could have been a breaking change, the folks that roll it out automatically, which I didn't know folks did, so I learned something new on that release. But yeah, so that's where we're at with it. That gives it a little bit more of a background. Ricardo, do you want to add anything? Did I miss anything?
No, that's all. We forgot a character for the rejects.
Yeah, edge cases, really. That's what it came down to, was just we didn't have enough code coverage on our end-to-end tests. So that's why we're trying to be a little bit more diligent about that with new PRs coming through. Even though it takes 45 minutes to run our end-to-end tests right now, it's make sure that we're not breaking things.
Ricardo, was the character PR the only big change, or is the path? Is there something going on with the path missing and checking for the spec itself? That kind of, somebody was talking about that also, right?
No, the problem is just that we had to add some validations on the path, on the Ingress path, due to our request, and I forgot a specific rejects special character. That's all. And people were using that, and I didn't had idea on that, so it broke. But hopefully this is gonna be fixed. But I agree with them, and maybe we should just do a breaking change on this one, James. Like, okay, there is a breaking change. Even being a breaking change, they would have problems because we weren't covering their case, right? So that's more like a bug. But yeah.
Yeah, it
breaks
essentially it was a bug. That's what it came down to. The fix was it's a bug, and we didn't cover that. Again, we didn't have the edge case covered in the testing. If we had had a test case with the character that was missing, it would have broke, and we wouldn't have accepted the PR, and it wouldn't have gone through, and the bug would have been fixed. So it's just development cycle, development hygiene, just working through that. So that's why when Phil was talking about that, that's why, being sensitive to our end-to-end tests, making sure we're covering edge cases. It happens. We rolled it back and it was fixed. Fortunately, with the rollback, it was just changing everything back to 151 and deleting 152 from the release and deleting the release. The only other issue that it brings up too is that making changes to the Helm chart, we don't have ownership of that Helm chart in Artifact Hub. So we have to bump the chart and make sure we're doing all of that to do a proper like rollback. I don't know if anyone has any opinions on like, should we open an issue to track fixing the Artifact Hub, because none of the maintainers have control through Artifact Hub, and really it's just controlled through the CI.
Someone from Artifact had sent a mail earlier, many months ago, about a problem of the format, the changelog format. Maybe we can send a mail to him if you want.
Do you know where that came through? Is it, I didn't see that, or maybe I'm not I don't remember it. Can you drop that in Ingress Dev for us? And yeah, we can look into that. I mean, I also wanted to add this Artifact Hub as a YAML. You put in artifact hub.yaml. It has certain formats. You put in who has ownership rights on artifact hub.io, and then that way, it's very similar to how we set up the KXIO ownership, the Ingress ownership. We put the usernames in there, and those folks have access to it. So I think I'll open an issue for that. That solves one of the issues.
Okay,
but we probably still should continue to use Artifact Hub Releaser.
Okay, I'll find the PR in which he had replied and get the contact details and ping on dev chat.
Awesome. Thanks, Long. It was a PR. Good deal. Okay, but yeah, that's really that's kind of what happened with 152. And I know, Ricardo, you've got PR open for the discussion. But I do want to get 160 out now with that note about it being a breaking change. Probably should have been a 160 anyway, I would think, because we did a minor version upgrade on the language and a minor version of Alpine as well. So there were a lot of changes. I don't know. What do you all think? Should we? I don't think we have hard and fast rules on that, on the minor changes like that, but 2 minor changes that could add up to breaking changes.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, Ricardo, just I still don't understand. Sorry for taking time, but when you said character problem, are you talking about the character and the path problem being the same issue?
No,
or are they different?
It's a problem on the regex parser. There was a regex parser seeing if something was right or wrong, and I forgot a character on the regex parser.
Okay, so I have to read to understand the regex part, and that is very easy to understand. But specifically, there is these issues of somebody is pointing about checking for the path. So I don't know.
I will talk with you offline on that.
Okay.
There is something else on that. Just page me on Slack. I will explain that to you.
Okay. But the problem is very clear, right?
What?
The problem is very clear, right?
The problem is clear, but I will explain that to you on Slack.
Okay.
Do we want to break these out? Because each one of these is individual things that I think can be done independently. Do you agree, Ricardo?
Sorry?
Do we want to break these out? I don't think we need all 5 of these in the next 160 release. I think if we just fix the regex path, we could get 160 out.
Yeah, I think so. The regex one, it's a tricky one to implement, right? So at least removing pod security policy, I think it's something that we should be doing. We should be removing pod security policy at all, and removing all of the things on that. And the obsolete directives that people keep slogging, we should probably work on that as well. The regex one, I can work on that instead of working on the SSL pass-through if we plan like, hey, let's release the 160 next week, I can work this week to make this ship as well, to make this
Yeah, I
work
think,
as well.
I don't
But
think we
it's
need
gonna be
all of
a,
these for
a
once.
huge change. What?
Yeah, I don't think we need all of these for 160. I didn't see the implementation type or the path type. Because I was thinking there's only one, like have an open issue for the path type to add regexes for all of the ones for the character checks. That's all I was thinking about, is just adding an end-to-end test, and then we can roll out 160 with the breaking chain and put the notification in there about the regex.
Yeah, you mean the change that we did already, right? That broke. We can release with that and not doing the allow rejects only on path type implementation specific, and leaving this one for the next minor one. It's fine. It's fine. This one, it's the one that we discussed with Rob and Tim Hawking on that thread.
Yeah. I know.
I'm of the opinion that unlike earlier releases, that not many people are currently waiting for a pending fix that's been merged and like they want to use nothing. There's no urgency. The urgency is not as high as earlier. So I mean, my opinion is we should wait, and if there is no real urgency to release 160 next week, we can wait.
There is some urgent reason to release that, and one of them is that because we don't do a release at least for 1 month. So there are a lot of bug fixes that we did during this time between Helm charts and the Ingress controller that never reached the users. But because there is another problem on this. It's that our release process, it's kind of annoying, not in the sense of the automation, but in the sense that we need to do the promotion, ship stuff, and if you open a branch for just the patch fixes of a release like 1.5, we need to point back to the end-to-end to the test infrastructure from Pro to point to those branches. So having specific branches for releases and doing the patch fixes, it's not that easy today, but that's something that I am working with Kate's Infra and James to make it easier. But right now, my opinion is that we need to make that release even being a breaking change, because there is too much time since we don't do a release, and people may be missing bug fixes, right? So, and then we should work on getting like 161 just with patch fixes, but not stopping us of merging stuff into main, right? So if we merge something that's a bug fix, we just cherry pick that and make our release process easier than there is today.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, we do just release from main. So it does make cherry picking difficult.
Yeah, and I want to invert that. I want to just release from release branches, right?
Yeah, because you can't really cherry pick things into a tag because it's not a branch. Yeah, that's fair. Okay. But yeah, so let's plan to do 160 next week, or throughout the week, right? And make sure that we've documented that. I've got the one issue open. So if nobody picks it up, I'll pick it up this weekend, write the end-to-end test for the path type regex that broke from 153 and get 160 out. How's that sound?
Sounds good. I will try to work on the pod security policy removal and maybe on the rejects path type as well. If you can ship that into this breaking change, it's going to be great. Otherwise, I'm not going to have any rush on that as well.
Okay,
I'm not going to
that's fair.
breaks. Yeah.
Does it still just yell at folks about that? Because I know we're all throughout the 152 issues, I still left the 126 end-to-end test. So we didn't do a release with 151 with 126 testing, but the tests run now. And 126, there's no issues. So anything that gets pulled and tested now is going to run through 126 to I think 123. Which I think 123 just dropped out of support as well.
Yeah, maybe we can keep 1.6 with 123 at least, right?
That's fair. So I'm just looking.
At least I know that a lot of cloud providers still support 122.
Yep, that's the issue.
I
They're a
can
little slower for adoption.
I can say by my own company actually. So
I mean, I know I have clusters still running 122. The AWS keeps yelling at me to upgrade them.
I have 121 clusters. Yeah. So yeah.
Okay. Alrighty. That's really it. Anybody else have any other questions about what happened with the 152 release? Don't do releases during Christmas break, and just add more end-to-end tests to cover edge cases. Awesome. Okay. I guess really the only other thing we have to talk about is the stabilization work. I'll go first with my fun update. So 152, I did use Mage to do all of the release notes for everything. It generated all of the release notes, made all of the changes. It was really nice because then it was only it's only 2 pull requests and 1 command now to do the release instead of the 8 billion steps that we have from a manual perspective. But yeah, so that's my update on the release process. There's 1 or 2 more tweaks. The rollback was difficult, but I think that Mage one for testing for during releases, I think is almost there. So this weekend I want to get that completed so I can get that into in the main, and we can start using that for releases going forward. That way then anybody can do that. That's where I'm at. How are we doing with the control plane split?
Cool. So it's working. I still have some flakes, and I have posted on my pull request, but I need to move to the issue. There are 2 features that doesn't work yet, but they are not blocking for us, I guess, at least to release an alpha release, which is the wait for shutdown, the graceful shutdown, and the TLS, the SSL pass-through, which I realized that it's made by the controller and not by NGINX. So it's kind of before NGINX supported SSL pass-through and SSL pre-read that was implemented on the controller, and we never touched that piece of code anymore. So I have decided just to skip those right now as part of the data plane and state for people, hey, we support 95% of things. You need you people testing it for us. And the 5% that we don't support yet, we know that we don't support, and we have plans to support that before we reach GA on that, right? There are some flakes and some problems between the communication of control plane and data plane. Mostly gRPC just sucks sometimes on knowing that a stream it's over. So I'm thinking in the future on having a different approach, having a really tiny Kubernetes API server that doesn't expose pods, that doesn't expose anything, based on the KCP approach or something like that. And that there is just the config map or the CRDs that the data plane keep watching and reconciling based on that. So if someone steals the service account or something like that that's mounted inside the controller and the data plane, right? It's just going to be able to get the config map, and that's all, because that's not a valid service account for the Kubernetes cluster, but that's a service account valid just for that API server. So that's my my thinking for the next communication approach. I want to do that because Kubernetes covers almost everything, like authorization, load balancing, and all of those things, which is painful on gRPC to implement. But other than that, gRPC communication is working. The way that it's done, it's easily migrated to another approach that we decide to do, right? So this middleware is just working fine. And as soon as we can solve the release 160, because James automated make file just broke the whole Helm chart. So my rebase, it's something like 3,000 lines of rebase, removing space from YAML files. Thank you, James. I will just rebase again, run the end-to-end tests, and say, hey, all of this is working. Authentication, as an example, it's not working, so we need to fix that and do those things on follow-ups. The other thing that I want to do is before merging that thing, at least making sure that we can have the release branch for 160. So whatever we do on main, it's not going to reach users code unless we cherry pick the changes on that, right? So that's my goal on that. And this may be a blocking for the 170 or something like that. But as soon as I get the tests running, I'm going to ask you folks what's the next steps on that. Right. So the tests, they are just working fine. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I just kind of wrote up. Because I think we should, to get folks testing it, we need to either do a blog post or a mailing list to the Kubernetes dev. So I'll put up a Google Doc so we can start writing that email and share it with folks, like give them the background of why we've made these changes, what those changes mean, and then give them the test, the alpha controller. So
I want to also establish with you folks before releasing that alpha version, what things we should implement even in alpha before releasing alpha. So like authentication, today there is no authentication between control plane and data plane. And even if you just do a key-based authentication and not like a multi-TLS authentication, we need to implement something that doesn't allow people just to get all of the secrets, certificates, and so on that are being used by the data plane, right? So we should probably make this part of the alpha release anyway.
I completely agree. So we can add that, just list of needed things before we release alpha, and then just a write-up on what the changes are and why we need folks to test them. Mm-hmm. Okay. Awesome, and right on time. We have 4 minutes. Does anybody have anything we want to discuss before we break?
No, I will start implementing as well. So I have some fun projects if someone wants to do that. One of them for the F5 folks, I'm writing an NGINX module to speak with SPOE engine from HA proxy. So you may have an extension that works for HA proxy and NGINX. And if someone wants to help me on that, it's like a cool collaboration between a bunch of projects, and we can turn NGINX extensible based on the same engine that HA proxy works. I know that's kind of annoying for two companies to like, hey, but that's a project that I'm working, just to let you know.
So one of the guys I work with actually works directly on the NJS stuff for us. So I'm wondering if maybe I can see if he might be interested in collaborating on that. So
sounds good. Just
I'll bring
tell
it up
him to page
actually,
me on
our dev meetings next hour. So Carol's here. Yeah, you should probably have that on the agenda, Carol, so that we can talk to Javier to see if he wants to join this meeting and see if there's something that he could. Oh, you already pinged him.
or just ask him to reach me on Slack, and I can explain to him what I want to do.
Okay.
But basically, I wanna use NJS and a protocol that HA proxy created to make some offload of decisions, like mod security. Today it's working this way, Coraza, WAF, and other things. Yeah.
That's actually great because our group specifically has really been pushing hard on, bringing NJS to a workable state, so that it's more useful to the community. And Javier's been on that project, so I think he might definitely, he probably will be interested in helping however he can.
Cool.
Should we open up an issue to track that? Because I know we wanted to also look at what's the functionality that Lua does now for us and see if there's a correlation to the NJS functionality as well.
In this one specifically, I'm doing just because we have this mod security problem, and I want to have a solution for that. But I don't want to write a module in C or C++ to make NGINX speak with Coraza WAF, which is written in Go, right? The HA proxy developer, the HA proxy Ingress developer maintainer is a friend of mine. João is a friend of mine, and we talk a lot. And they have implemented the web application firewall on HA proxy based on this protocol, this offload protocol that HA proxy has, right? So that's an open protocol and so on. So it's like a TCP port that keeps listening. It receives the request. It deals with the request. It receives the response from the upstreams as well if it needs to parse the response. And then it says, yeah, this is authorized or not, right? And I'm right now, this focus on NJS side for me, it's just for the mod security, but making something more generic that anyone can implement any offload decision in Go or any other language that support SPOE, and even NGINX can speak with that, right? So that's my idea on that. But I want to start working on the dynamic reload and the Lua stuff in a near future as soon as we finish the control plane and data plane. So we can just reduce a bit our compilation time and compilation process and untie from OpenResty at least our releases. So yeah, but I guess we have an issue on that, James. But those are two different issues. Okay. One is just for mod
that's fair. All right, awesome. Well, that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, as all of those progress, those are especially the last one, untying from OpenResty, is something that I think that I could pull in people that are keen to help with that. So just that when we get to that point, I guess that would be the time I would pull those people in.
Cool. Yeah, I have an idea on how to do that. The problem is that today I can just write and read from files for the dynamic stuff, and so it may be slow. And I never continued that because we have people that actually do just the OpenResty stuff, like Jintao and Elvin. They are just OpenResty folks.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to just take everything and throw out and replace everything for JavaScript stuff, right? So yeah.
Well, that just seems like
a
lot more needless work rather than moving slow, methodical, and making the interesting changes that need to be made.
Correct. That's why I wanted to start with mod security.
Awesome. All right. Well, folks, I've got a meeting to get to, so it's great talking to you all. And I don't hear you from Slack. See you in a couple of weeks. Bye.
See ya.
Take care.
Bye, folks.